welcome to episode 80 of Your Ultimate Comeback.
Love it.
80.
80.
We're rolling on almost 2 years.
Well, for you.
Okay, fine.
For me, a year.
A year.
Yeah.
So a year since it's got really good.
You said it, not me. You said it, not me.
Well, hey, very excited for today's episode.
Me too.
Actually, we've been looking forward to this for a while now.
Yeah.
We have a guest on, Dr. Nicole Huffman. I said your last name right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. You changed it on me. Marriage will,
I know. I
marriage
was
will
going
do
to say,
that.
it's changed since I knew you.
Yeah. So I have known Dr. Nicole. I'm going to call you Dr. Nicole. Is that okay? Okay,
Great.
good. We had a buddy. Do you remember Dr. Jason Amstutz? Did you ever meet him?
Of course.
Yeah. So we had him on
Yeah,
last
last
week,
week.
and I kept calling him Dr. Jason, and just
No, you kept calling him Dr. J.
Oh, Dr. J. Yeah, I use my very.
And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I'm tight with these.
Yes,
people.
you are. You are.
Yeah, it's fine. It's great.
But Doctor, I've known, 20 years? Is that about how
It's
long
been a
ago?
really long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite things about Dr. Nicole is that she was a high-level strength coach before she became a naturopathic physician.
Okay.
Like I remember literally we were sitting in Vegas at a convention in like 2008, and it was you, me, Jason Vaughn. And you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to roll off and become a naturopathic physician. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And she did it and crushed
Love
it. And now just killing it. So huge podcast following. We have a couple mutual clients, even though you're now in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I've definitely sent one of my patients to you.
Yeah.
I send them all if
Yeah.
they'll go. Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome. And at one point in our lives, she trained and took care of my brother back when she lived in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we go way
That's
back.
right.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
I'm really excited because today with Dr. Nicole, I'll have her introduce herself in a second, but we're going to do a deep dive into female hormones and how stress impacts that. This is this thing that is like the nail in my side with women. They don't
That's
want
the
to
only thing?
believe, well, no, there's a lot of things, but they don't want to believe that stress has an impact.
Yeah.
Or they want to think, I have no stress,
Right.
it's not me.
Right.
But by the end of this episode, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a very clear understanding of how impactful stress is.
Yep.
So to start, Doc, please just give everybody a little bit of your background.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on. You guys look so much more professional than me, but I'm totally here for it. So I'm a naturopathic doctor. I was a strength coach for a long time and just started seeing with, Poliquin's work of like all the different body fat sites and what they meant on the body. And I really dove deep and started seeing a lot of my clients like labs changing, not just their body fat changing. And so I just realized I needed more of a foundation because all of a sudden I was like reading labs and doing things. And I was like, wait a second. So I really felt called to go back to school and become a naturopathic doctor. And so I mostly work remote now. I am going to start seeing patients again in person. We just moved from Colorado to Wisconsin, very new, like 2 weeks. So I am going to start seeing patients again soon. But my passion is really finding the root cause. I feel like a lot of even more holistic docs, their solution is just like hundreds and hundreds of supplements. And I don't think, that's the right answer either. So really trying to dive down, not just into a root cause of what might be bothering somebody's body, but also their lifestyle, their food, are they lifting, all the different things. I think it's super important. And I've also recently, I wouldn't say like too recent, within the last 10 years, have really started bringing in more of like the emotional work. So Brad, to like what your point, the stress on the body is such a huge like it just holds women back and it holds everybody back really, but you primarily see it in women with the high cortisol. And we're going to dive into a lot of that today, but I also think like the emotional piece and subconscious stuff is a really big deal. So I try to pull that into my patient visits as well. I live on a ranch. I have like 5 horses and dogs and cats, and so I try to have that, real outdoorsy nature piece of my life as well that I find really grounding.
Fantastic. Yeah, your little boy is like living the dream life as a toddler.
So.
He loves it for sure.
So imagine moving from Colorado to Wisconsin with a whole ranch.
No, that's amazing. Amazing.
It's very stressful.
Well, but I'm sure you grow your own food and you do all sorts of things, right? Or you will be.
We probably will be doing a garden for
Yeah.
sure. Colorado is a tough place to garden. I mean,
Is it?
here in the Midwest, you just like throw out a seed and it like grows.
Right.
In Colorado, it's like dry.
Oh.
There's, yeah. So we'll be doing more of that here for sure.
Cool.
I love it. So this is a post you put up that really stimulated me wanting to have you on so bad. I'm going to read it real quick. It says, you know who has the rockiest time with hormones in their 30s and 40s? It's not the women skipping workouts or living on takeout, though that doesn't help. It's the type A, do-it-all, high-functioning achievers, the I've got this gals. Why? Because their nervous systems are cooked, their adrenals are exhausted, and they've spent decades overriding their body's signals in the name of achievement. When the ovaries start to slow down in the 30s and 40s, the adrenals are supposed to back them up. But if your adrenals are fried, that's when the anxiety, insomnia, mood swings, weight gain, and burnout come in hard. It's not just about estrogen, it's about your pace. It's about how much you've been carrying and how long you've been pretending it's fine. I am like excited to get into this. Because like, I just, I want to learn more so I can be more equipped with my female clients because they're coming in. And what I typically see are these women, they're eating right. They're exercising like crazy. They're doing all the things. And things are staying the same or getting worse. And they're incredibly frustrated by it. But at the same time, they have their jobs. They have all their kids. They have their significant others. They're taking care of everything. And they get it all done. It's fascinating to watch. But there's the one element when I start to talk to them about, hey, I think you're a little too stressed out. We need to go after that. They have a really hard time buying into that.
Sure.
They want me to tell them, you need to exercise 6 days a week, not 4. Oh, you need to cut your calories into the 200 calories. You need to jump in a sauna now every day. Or now you need a cold plunge. It's like all these strategies of, I just got to do more. I got to outwork this thing. And it never ends well. So can you first off just kind of explain what's happening for these women? Because now hormones are starting to change. Like most women understand that.
Yeah.
But the solutions that they're looking for, they're struggling with.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the big things, and you totally hit the nail on the head, is that it's so much easier. And I am this woman, so I'm not putting anybody down in this category, or I should say, I have been this woman. I feel like I've tried to do a lot to kind of step away from that, but it's so much easier to do more than it is to do less. There's like this sort of innate value.
Louder for the people in the back.
Right.
Yes.
Like it's almost like you have this value. You're valued for all the things that you do. And so to slow down, to step back is hard. Now that's just like an emotional perspective. But then actually in the body, if we want to get really biochemical, as we are producing more and more cortisol just with like everyday life stressors, we have something called this pregnenolone steal, which instead of our body prioritizing making progesterone, which is, our amazing hormone that makes us sleep really well, feel calm, feel safe, our body's like, I don't care about progesterone. I'm stressed. So I'm going to prioritize making cortisol. I'm going to make more cortisol and more cortisol because I have to survive. That's the state that I'm in right now. And so whether you want to have a baby or not, I think a lot of women associate like progesterone, all these hormones with fertility, which when your body is fertile, it's in an optimal hormonal state, right? So really everybody should want to achieve in a fertile state because that's ultimate hormonal balance. But it's so important, even if you don't want to have a baby, it's like you want to have no anxiety, you want to feel calm, you want to feel like you're resilient with the stress that you're encountering every day. You want progesterone. But if your body thinks that it's stressed, it's going to keep making cortisol instead. And then when we're getting closer and closer to menopause, so we're in this perimenopausal state that can last a very, very long time. And we're seeing so many women enter it now in their 30s. Your adrenals are the backup generator, right? They also make a slew of hormones. But if your adrenals are fried from years of high achieving and doing all the things and being stressed, then now we don't have a backup generator. So I feel like the women who really struggle in these transitions are definitely the women who have been just burning the candle at both ends for too long. And like you said, Brad, it's like they're doing everything right, right? Like they're eating clean, they're exercising 4 days a week, and they don't really, if you say like, okay, I think stress is the issue, but they're like, oh, but nothing stressful is really happening. It's just the way they're living their life that's stressful. And I think it's also stuff that we can't even necessarily put a finger on, right? Like I could dive so deep into like the circadian rhythm stuff, right? Like sitting under fluorescent lights or LEDs or not getting outside enough or right? Like that can be a stress on the body. It could be being in a neighborhood surrounded by everybody who's got their Wi-Fi, right? Like there's a lot of different directions you could go to figure out what type of stress is actually affecting the body because there's a whole bunch of different types. But we also got to do a reality check on how we're living our life. Are we rushing from the second we wake up? I mean, if you're rushing all day long, that's a trauma response. I mean, that's one of the things I learned from somebody who I worked with trauma was rushing all day long. Your body does that out of trauma. So think about the amount of cortisol and stress you're just emitting by having a day where it's like, I'm so scheduled, I got to keep going, right?
Wow, you wouldn't think that that would be included in that when you say it that way. People just think that that is high performance, high achieving. But really, that's detrimental.
It's so true. It's very detrimental. And it's, I don't, try to have somebody who rushes from day to day be like, just walk a little slower from thing to thing.
I hate slow walkers. I hate slow walkers. I do. That's one of my things. I'm like behind people. Even,
Yeah.
So that's good to know. Okay, like, noted. Gosh, I should be taking notes right now.
How can I move a little slower through the world, right? I mean, I think there is a lot of different, like I sort of said before, with like even EMFs or circadian, what is your light environment? What are you eating enough, right? Like, there's so many women who don't eat enough fat. And it's like, well, guess what? Cholesterol makes all of our hormones. Cholesterol comes from fat and from food. If we're not eating enough, we're not making enough hormones. But a lot of these women who are, especially I'm sure, Brad, working with you, they're, want their body to look a certain way. And we've been taught, a lot of the women in my generation have been taught fat is bad, from a long time ago, and eat less calories and move more. And no matter how much new data comes off, it's like this default method. It's like, oh, I just have to eat a little less. And when you're talking about a woman who's already, go, working out hard, a lot of them aren't even eating enough food. And then that's a stressor too. And your body, again, isn't going to prioritize hormone production when it doesn't have enough reserves, right?
Well, and tell me this. This is something I feel that I see. There's now all these data points on our health, our body fat percentage, our sleep data, all these things. And what I see so often is women are working so hard, and then their data comes back and it's not what they wanted, or it's not like quote unquote working. I see that stress them out even more. And it becomes so much focal point on like the scale, the body fat percentage.
Your aura ring.
It's like they're freaking out, like wanting perfection and wanting result. And then the data is not giving them the result they think they should have. And that stresses them out. Is that common?
Oh, so common. I mean, for sure. Like I said, was one of these women, and it's like your aura ring is like you wake up, it's like, how's my sleep score? Because now you're getting rated on things, right? And I do feel like if we can use these different technology or data things as a way of like a check-in, right? Like, okay, hey, I'm trying out this new supplement thing before I go to sleep, or I'm wearing these red glasses, or I'm, not looking at my phone after sunset, whatever. Hey, does it change my sleep score? Oh, it did. I got more deep sleep. Cool. But I don't know that it needs to be this like everyday sort of scoring you almost, right? Because I do think that it even then creates more stress. And the whole point is we're trying to scale that back, right?
Yeah. Interesting.
Now, you mentioned something about this being primarily women that are in this space of the overly stressed. Is that because, traditionally women are the caretakers? They are the ones, they're obviously the mothers, and they take care of all the things. There's always that joke about, if mom's sick, it doesn't matter. She's still got to push through and deal with the whole family. Right. Do you think that
Right.
is a piece of why?
That's a really great question. I don't know that I figured it out. I mean, I know that what I learned from one of my mentors was that if you were to study women's hormones, it could be like this 8-month course, right? Like they're very intricate. There's a whole bunch of them. There's so many different things that affect the hormones. And then when you study a man's hormones, you could probably learn it in 4 hours, right? Like there's like this massive difference. And so when you think about how stress impacts a man versus how it impacts a woman, I think it's just different, right? I mean, there's so much more research coming out now that's saying, women need more sleep and it's like verified or whatever. I guess I'm not saying like men don't get stressed, they do.
Yeah.
I just think that because women go through these big changes, I mean, they go through a perimenopause part, which is, it's not a medical diagnosis, it's just a transition, right? But because we are seeing so many women feel so off during this time, and then again, the transition into menopause, I think they're just such big things and they tend to be happening in a woman's life when she's busy. Maybe she has a career, maybe her kids are involved in a whole bunch of different things and she's bringing them from place to place, also trying to keep up with the home. A lot of moms are working these days, right? I think it's just we go through these bigger changes when we have a very busy life. And because of that, and we're not, the things that women did in the 20s are no longer working when they're in their late 30s and their 40s. It takes like this whole sort of, I don't know, almost like a relook at how you're living your life. And if you're having a bunch of symptoms, it's your body's way of telling you like, hey, this isn't working for me anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like the way that we've done it up until now, it's not working. So we have to make a change.
Sure. It really is fascinating to me as someone that's been in the fitness world for 40 years, seeing how so many people want to keep doing, because I know a lot of people that are also in the fitness world and they think, oh, we're going to keep doing this, like what you just said, as I was in my 20s and my 30s or even my 40s. And, it's insane how much things change. And I was lucky and sailed through perimenopause. I actually was through menopause, didn't even know. My naturopathic doctor was like, oh yeah, you have no more estrogen. I'm like, oh, okay. So I just had symptoms of some hot flashes and not sleeping well, and I'm a sleeper. So I was probably lucky, but I'm seeing so many more women that are really, really struggling with all those symptoms now. And like you said, so much earlier, which is scary.
So much earlier.
Why is that?
And I think I try to tell people, women, not men, that there are women who sail through it like you do.
Well,
right?
I don't
like
know.
that is for the most part,
Okay,
right? Like
yeah.
you can go through it without, like a ton of drama, I
Right.
think.
Yeah.
But that's just not what we're seeing anymore. And we
Right.
are seeing women start going through this perimenopause so much earlier. Like I had a female patient the other day, I think she's 33. She has no hormones. I mean, they are bottomed out. And her cortisol was actually starting to go. So we kind of see this where after you have, it's actually like it's a very good metaphor, not metaphor, like analogy with weightlifting. Like you have a hypertrophy state where your muscle gets bigger and bigger, right? And if you were to just like stop working out, then it's going to kind of shrink back. Well, the cortisol does the same thing. It like your adrenals are like, oh, wow, I'm really stressed. I'm in a hypertrophy. I'm going to get bigger. We're going to output a ton of cortisol, but that's not sustainable. So at some point, we see everything flatline. We see everything go back down. And that's a much harder state to get out of. I mean, to not have cortisol is now you're really flatlined, right? We have no energy. We're usually not producing very many hormones. So to see this in the 30s, it's like, what's going on? Again, it could be just a way of living life, but I think there's other things too, like other stressors that are just different than what we've had maybe 30 years ago that are around now.
Well, and hormone, it seems to me from what I'm seeing that hormone dysregulation is starting at really young ages for females. Like I'm seeing a lot of like young girls in high school that you can just see that they're having these major hormonal fluctuations, instabilities. Is it happening earlier? And that's kind of I mean, I'm gonna guess.
Absolutely.
I watched my daughter as a junior in high school. The stress she's been under with like just trying to get everything done and accomplish everything. It's like, how do you like? I had to tell her the other day, like, hey, it's spring break. You need at least 2 days where you do nothing, like no
Yeah.
studying, no training, no sports, and that was hard for her to do because she's gotten in that groove of just
wired that way,
going and going and going.
Yeah. Well, think about, gosh, I think about, when we were in high school, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media, we didn't have, I am like say a prayer for all those kids that have to go through high school is hard anyways. And then to now have social media and all of that just sounds like a whole nother layer of stress. And we also just have so much more estrogen in the environment that we ever have had before. So many girls are starting their periods so much younger than they were before. And why do we have so much estrogen in our systems these days? I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's causing hormonal imbalances way early on. I mean, there's no doubt.
People think I'm crazy. Like my husband is one when I talk about microplastics. Oh, we can't do this. And what he was washing one of our pans with the soap that my son uses after he's been working on his car. He started washing the pan with that, and I lost my mind. And he goes, what? It gets it clean. I said, we're going to ingest that. He said, no, but it's going to heat up. And I said, exactly, into the food. Right. I mean, we were having this, he looked at me like I had 3 heads. He did. And I'm just like, I know you think I'm a freak, and I am, but come on. That to me is, let's have the dirty pan. I'll buy a new one.
Right. Oh, that's frightening.
No, right? No mas.
I feel like it just takes the husbands a little while to catch up.
Yeah, I think you're right.
A little while or a lot of while?
Maybe more. Maybe
I'm going to go, in my experience, a lot of while.
Yeah. Well, you're seeing it, though, so you don't discount it because you're in it. You're in the trenches with these women and you see it.
Yeah.
So you kind of, but how early, like without giving too much away, if you're patient, I'm just curious. You said someone that was already going through menopause at 33?
I don't think she was going through menopause at 33, but she had just a super low. Okay. So I would say that's actually a really good point. So when someone is going through menopause, we look at a lot more data than just the hormones, right? Like I'm sure when your doctor tested you and said like, oh yeah, you're in menopause. It's like we look at your FSH numbers, your LH numbers, like we're seeing like, okay, your ovaries and your brain are just not, like the signal is not there anymore, right? So we can see that by those numbers being really high. When we see a woman, let's say in her early 30s, that has no hormones, and yes, they were actually in menopausal range, I wouldn't necessarily say that she was in menopause. I would look at it more as like her body is just so not being supported because I don't necessarily think perimenopause or menopause are like a destination. I think it's like a spectrum. I think there are women who go into these phases earlier than their body probably naturally would because we see women come out of it all the time. Like I thought my body, one of the reasons I like created this program in the first place is I wanted to get pregnant. I thought my body was going into menopause. I was like having hot flashes. I was like, what's going on? Like, I want to have a baby. My body's doing the exact opposite. And I did a bunch of stuff and pulled myself out and got pregnant naturally. And so I think it's a spectrum, right? It's kind of like if your body is going into a phase and it's too early for your body, if we can start sort of reworking the cortisol picture, reworking the adrenal picture. Do we need to change some stuff that's going on in lifestyle? Do we need to eat more food? Do we need to get the thyroid back online, right? Like all the different things. I think your body will produce hormones again, and it'll go into these other phases when it's the right time that's natural for your body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It sounds like you're trying to get the body back into homeostasis, right?
Correct. Yeah. And then if it's time, if that's your time to go in, okay, cool. Yeah. But a lot of data shows that women go into menopause with thousands of eggs still.
Wow.
So it's like, are these women going into menopause too early for their bodies then? Or was it, we hear about, and even my mom, she went into menopause when she got divorced. I think these huge stressors can send, I'm sure you've seen this, Brad. Yeah. These like huge stressors can send women into menopause. And I think I think it might be too early, right? It's like, was your cortisol just that high that your body was like, forget it, that was it, like
Closing shop.
yeah, no more hormones,
Yeah.
that's it. And if we could sort of like rework the system, and a lot of women who don't want to have babies, a lot of them are like, I'm good without my cycle anymore, right?
Yeah.
But I think the benefits of still having hormones, if your body wasn't maybe exactly ready to go into menopause, are huge. I mean, we talk about heart health, bone health, brain health, all the things, right? So, yeah, I think I'm just more on the side of supporting the woman's body wherever it needs to be. But I just feel like we're seeing it start a little too early for a lot of women.
Yeah. Do you have any like easy strategies you could recommend for a woman that's experiencing lots of stress, that's having all these symptoms, like things they could start implementing in their lifestyle to start supporting themselves versus constantly depleting themselves?
Yeah, sure. I mean, an easy one for me to say, not for a lot of women to do, is to eat a super high protein breakfast within 30 minutes of waking up. That is really hard for a lot of women to do.
Why the
I don't
30
know
minutes? Why 30 minutes?
because our cortisol naturally goes up in the morning and we want it to. That's like our wake up. It's like, hey, it's time to get up. We want our cortisol to go up. But a lot of these women already have too high cortisol, or we're seeing it maybe spike way too high in the morning and then crash in the afternoon or whatever, right? So when we have this like protein and fat, it signals to our mitochondria and to our body, hey, like we don't have to be stressed. We're fed. We've got the right nutrition. We're not, having like a sugary yogurt or like a piece of fruit, like we're having something substantial that's really blood sugar balancing that can tell our bodies like we don't need to spike cortisol right now. And I like to pair that with, if the first thing you can actually really look at when you wake up in the morning is the sunrise, that's another sort of, mitochondrial cue of like, yeah, we're safe, we're good. We can sort of slowly have our cortisol be going up instead of shooting to the sky. It's just all of these different things that we can do to show our body that we're safe is really important for women going through this time.
Is that why I see intermittent fasting not work very well for women? I see it be pretty devastating. They all want to try it. They all want to do it, but
Yeah.
it's no breakfast, some caffeine, some coffee.
Right.
It's just
Not
gonna
eat till 2.
That's gonna make that all worse, right?
Totally. And I did this for actually when I was living in Orange County working at Cone Health Institute. I was doing keto, and I will say I have seen keto work pretty well for women, but I would almost flip it with what I know now and say I'd rather you, if you're going to skip dinner, than skip breakfast.
Interesting.
If you need to intermittent fast, which I still don't know that I'm a huge fan of women intermittent fasting who are still cycling. I think women who are in menopause, go for it.
Really?
Like I see fasting work with women much better when they're not cycling anymore. But when we're still cycling, I don't know. I try not to mess with that too much.
Yeah.
I think again, it's like the cues you can give your body that you're safe. And fasting for most women, if you're already stressed, is not going to be a safety cue.
Yeah.
But what I think is challenging about intermittent fasting, even with that flip, which is I think really cool, is I'm still trying to eat a gram of protein per pound of body weight over here. I can't do that in 2 meals.
Right. Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Right.
So that was one thing that added stress too.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All of a sudden you're like, I'm going to have 2 ribeyes.
Right.
Each
Exactly.
sitting and feel awful.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's such a crapshoot to figure out the puzzle, I guess. And I think about women, like my mom, I don't think she's ever taken any HRT, which is wild. So, I mean, I'm sure life was a lot less stressful when she was going through, but, I think that generationally it's changed, I'm sure, right?
I think it's definitely changed. I feel like the HRT that even my mom was recommended was all synthetic. I feel like recommending like the bioidenticals and how they're doing things now I don't think that was really around or talked about back then too. But for sure, stress was different. I mean, just I swear, just even the cell phone and
Yeah.
all the EMFs
Yeah.
and all of the everything, I think
Mhm.
is so much different than it was. I think
Yeah.
there's just so much that's different from that generation.
Right. What is the age range of women, or do you work with men as well?
Oh yeah, I
I
used to work
do.
with
I
her.
have.
Yeah,
Okay.
she used to treat
Look
me
at
when she,
Brad.
yeah.
He's raising his
Been there,
hand.
done that. It was
He's raising his
awesome.
hands.
Yeah,
I'm there.
yeah.
Yeah, I totally treat men.
Okay.
I would say the woman that I typically have been treating is I treat a lot of moms. I think that just sort of, I mean, I treat women that are not moms too, but I feel like the moms who are in their like late 30s and 40s seem to be a lot of who I see, because it's like you just look at the new patient paperwork and they're, 40, 41, 38,
Mhm.
whatever, and you see they have a couple kids, and it's like you already know what they're going to
Yeah.
come in with, right?
Right.
It's so much autoimmune, like Hashimoto's, hormonal issues,
Yeah.
brain fog, fatigue, all of that stuff, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like yeah, was that your question? Just like who I treat?
Yeah, I was
I treat a
curious.
lot of
I was
kids.
curious what kids you do.
Yeah, I
Okay.
do. Yeah, it's a big spectrum
Uh-huh.
for sure.
One of the things you taught me that I loved when you were working on me before you moved was the emotional impact of our health, and how much of that I was carrying that I didn't realize I was carrying. Is that something you see play into these lives of these women as well? This, emotional stuff they're holding on to, they don't know how to release it. Does that play a big trigger into this whole added world of stress?
No doubt. I think when women, like we kind of talked about this woman who who, has sailed through her 20s and is high achieving, and then maybe in their 30s starts to not feel that great, is tired, but whatever, I can push through that.
Mm.
And then they get their mid 30s, late 30s, 40s, and it's just not, they can't push through it anymore, right? It's like I've been this way now for a long time and it's all caught up with me. And I think when those symptoms start coming up, it's also an invitation to look at any sort of, I mean, you could say emotional baggage. I just say like stored emotions that you
Trauma.
haven't been able to release, stored trauma.
Yeah.
And it could be the big T trauma that's like, gosh, I never really talked about this thing that happened to me when I was 16 or when I was 5, or gosh, I grew up in this really strict household, or whatever it is, right? Or it could be like, little stuff that's happened along your life that's just sort of accumulated. I mean, we've all have stuff, right?
Mhm.
And so I mean, my personal favorite is NET, neuroemotional technique, that just uses muscle testing and asks the body what it is that it wants to release. I feel like my patients say it's like 6 years of therapy in 30 seconds. So, I try to be quick about releasing your trauma, but
Yeah.
it is for the person to process that too. And there's many ways to do that. But I think when you've hit that point in your life where the way you've been doing things is just not working anymore, it is that invitation to really look at some of the stuff you've repressed over the years.
Yeah, I like
Makes
it.
sense.
I thought it was really powerful when I did it.
So did you work on that with her?
Oh yeah, she did a bunch of NET on me.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Yeah.
Now, is that similar to what Shelby does, the nutritional response testing?
So NRT uses muscle testing,
Right.
And
Mhm.
has like the little vials and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So it still uses muscle testing. It's just
Okay.
a little bit, it's just asking different questions.
Okay, got it.
basically.
But kind of along
Yes.
the same lines.
I would say NET is strictly emotional for the most part.
But what I
where
mean is
think,
still the same level of woo-woo.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
no, I'm all in. I'm all in. I go to someone that who she's been on their show twice.
Yeah.
That does nutrition response testing.
Yeah.
She's helped she and my daughter a lot. In fact, guess what I work on? Cortisol. Huh.
Yeah.
My adrenals. Huh. Shocking.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because muscle testing, and I don't think all muscle testers are created equal, just like all
for sure.
strength coaches aren't
Of course.
created equal, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like muscle testing is such a shortcut to asking the body what's going on. I mean,
In a good way, shortcut.
Yes,
Okay.
in a good way.
Yeah.
Your nervous system holds anything that's ever happened to you your whole life,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Even when you were in utero.
Right.
And so you might not remember, but your body does. And so having a technique or a system that can ask your body, like, hey, this is what happened. It's this emotion.
Yeah.
It's this person in your life when you were 3. I mean, it's powerful.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like it just, again, it uses your own nervous system to say, like, hey, what is it that I need to offload that I haven't offloaded yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk a lot about the nervous system, and I think that's fascinating. And I want to explore that a little bit with you because nobody really thinks that way. When the nervous system is fatigued and it is shutting down and it does not want to contribute, what are some of the strategies you use to help bring that back with the people you work with?
Yeah, that's a really, I mean, if we think about, okay, so the nervous system is kind of a little bit what I talked about before, like what can we do to create safety, right? To have your nervous system feel safe, right? That's when we're making hormones. That's when our adrenals are not outputting adrenaline, norepinephrine, all of those sort of fight or flight hormones, right? So if we can settle the nervous system down, I think that's when the magic happens. And I think it can be, you could do something more woo-woo, right? Like NET or some emotional work. And you could also try and help your nervous system through food, right? Like having balanced blood sugar, I think is so underrated. I feel like everybody should wear a CGM at some point in their life to see what foods are spiking them and what's not. Because if your blood sugar is going like this all day, or maybe it's crashing at night, which I see a ton. So when it crashes at night, it wakes people up. So people will say like, oh, like I wore a CGM for the first time and it dipped a couple times and I noticed both those times I woke up. It's like, okay, well, your nervous system is not going to be happy when your blood sugar is going all over the place. You can't heal when your blood sugar is going all over the place. So just balancing blood sugar, which you can do through food, is a huge signal to your nervous system that things are good, you're safe. That's why keto works so well, because it balances blood sugar so well. They call it the anti-anxiety diet, right? Because when your blood sugar is balanced, we just don't have that food noise. Like I'm thinking about my next meal. I'm more resilient to stress. And not that I think everybody should do keto, but just if you can find a way to balance your blood sugar. I think sleep is a huge, 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 especially for women. If you're waking up multiple times throughout the night, going to the bathroom a bunch of times throughout the night, your nervous system is not going to be very settled. And it's also a sign that your nervous system probably isn't settled. And then I think another way we can work with the nervous system is through balancing circadian rhythm stuff, which, isn't necessarily like just going out for sunrise, but like all these talk about something that's different from our generation versus like our parents or even our grandparents, where they had like incandescent light bulbs. Like the LED light bulbs have like this flicker that we can't really perceive with our eyes, but our nervous system can perceive that. And if you're under them all day, every day, I mean, that creates nervous system dysfunction, right? So you can go all the way from just like what you eat for breakfast, from what's above your head to, how you're sleeping. I mean, without even diving into stuff that I feel like most people will mention, which is like meditation, right?
Yeah.
I love meditation. It's great. You try telling a really stressed out woman she's got to meditate for 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
The only thing she's thinking about when her eyes are closed is her to-do list, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like we need to get back to gas lamps.
I would love that. Talk about getting my husband on board. We're working on lighting right now.
I love it.
I'm like, what do we think about in the winter having like oil lamps? He's like, I'm not there.
I get it. To your point about the continuous glucose monitor.
Yes.
I tried it. You did too. That creates more stress for me.
Interesting.
Because I'm looking at the app. Oh what? Oh no.
So when I was talking about all the data points that are out there and how much it stresses people out, that was really about her.
About me. Probably was.
Really
yeah.
Probably was.
100% it was.
Yeah.
I
am so good at spinning out.
I think it's all how you use it with your mindset, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so for me, what the CGM taught me was that sometimes in the morning, and I actually haven't done one for a minute, so I should relook at that. But, it takes me a little while for my cortisol or for my glucose to calm down in the morning.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I do a lot. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. All right. So I learned that if I delay coffee a super long time, it doesn't mean I had to get rid of it, but if I delayed it, then I noticed it calmed down much faster, and it didn't actually even spike when I did do coffee, as long as I waited. I mean, I learned so many like little things that worked for my body. And if you can do that and then get out and not use it as another stressor,
Right.
I think it can be beneficial.
Yeah.
But for sure, if you're the type that's like,
I am.
okay, I'm going to look at this and it's going to create more chaos.
Yeah.
Maybe you just do like a quick finger prick then or
Yeah.
something after your meal to be like, did that work?
Yeah. I mean, I did find it very interesting, but I become this sort of, I'm going to make this perfect kind of. So I spin out that way. And Brad is not wrong. You know, he's used to getting all the text messages. What does this mean? What about this? But now I just ask ChatGPT.
I was just going to say, ChatGPT became even more of a friend of mine this morning.
No, yeah, because I said, look at this. And I had asked a question, you know.
Walked her off the ledge before I got the call.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But see, I'm someone.
ChatGPT is incredible.
It really is. Until it's not. Bum, bum, bum. No,
I know. We'll talk about this in a year from now.
Yes.
Do we still like ChatGPT?
Yeah, when it takes over the world. But see, I never drink alcohol. I don't drink caffeine. You know, I do all these things. I'm not trying to say, oh, I have a little halo over my head. I'm this perfect, you know, but I do so many things right. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Why is that spiking? Why was that?
And let me be clear with you, Doc, so you understand this. Oh my God, Brad, that meal just took my blood glucose to 120. Is that okay? Should I just cut that out completely? Like,
No,
is fine.
it would get to 140 or 160.
No, you were freaking out at 120.
Was I?
Yes.
I don't remember. I just remember I'm
120
like,
is
I'm
just
done
fine.
with this thing.
Yeah.
Well, so this is the thing though, which is really interesting is that, so we know that cortisol and insulin are BFF, right? So when cortisol goes up, insulin goes up. Right. So we know then that your blood sugar can go high without eating anything, just if you're stressed. Right.
Sure.
So then it's like we have to back it down and be like, okay,
chill,
is this
sis.
tracking
Chill,
thing.
sis.
Well, am I stressed about my tracker? So now my blood sugar is high. I mean, that's a thing too. So I felt like when I had some women who had really, really high blood sugar numbers, like high insulin, high hemoglobin A1C, I was like, you know, let's do keto for a little bit just to like bring this stuff down. But if they were too stressed about something, they couldn't even get into ketosis, even if they were eating like no carbs. So that just also shows like you can do all the blood sugar things right, but if something is still not balancing, then there's still some underlying stress that we have to like bring that piece of the puzzle into.
Yeah. How explain how so I became a type 2 diabetic by not eating. I went 10 months without any carbs, but I was training twice a day every day. I was, you know, a baby on the way. I was trying to run a gym. I was stressed out of my mind. And I basically was a type 2 diabetic.
It's crazy.
And then I had a conversation with Rob Wolf, and he kind of explained it to me like, oh, people like you that train that much, you have a stress-driven problem, not a insulin-driven problem. You need carbs to calm down. The opposite of the person who is not as stressed, who doesn't like to work out, you feed them too many carbs, they're going to have an issue. So I started eating carbs and, you know, like the demon food. And this has been almost 20 years now. I've not gone a day without carbs. And my blood sugar is so much better than it's ever been. I just had my labs done yesterday. Fasting glucose 85, A1C 5.0. My C-peptide and my fasting insulin are all super low. So like carbs aren't
good.
the carbs
How many
aren't the
circus
devil,
animals were you eating in that?
Right? I still throw some circus animal cookies in there. I still like.
I know what his Achilles heel is.
Yeah, but like
circus animal.
Yeah.
we can still eat carbohydrates in a way that's safe and effective, right?
100%. I mean, I will say I do think it's different for men than women,
Thank
but
you.
I do feel like I can probably not eat as many carbs as you, even though I feel like I probably have the same picture as you of stress driven, right? But I will say that my whole body is also better if I'm eating fruit, which I demonized forever.
Right. Yeah.
And I finally had like a doc that I was working with. I was like, you need to eat fruit. And I was like, fine. You know what? Let's try it. And I feel like it's been really helpful. Now I don't eat it like all day long, but I don't have it for breakfast. That's like me. I find that the cortisol thing and my blood sugar, it's much better for me at lunch or even dinner. So no, I don't think carbs are like the demon at
Yeah.
all, but I do feel like, I'm going to do better with like blueberries and whatever than I would like a bagel. So I think it's just the type of carb. Carbs is just like such an umbrella, right?
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
so many different things in there, and probably even the women who are working out really hard, like they probably need a different level of carbs, right?
Yeah.
Than the woman who is, a stay-at-home mom who's not working out as much, but
Yeah.
she's super stressed because she's chasing after her kids all day. So I think there's just varying levels
Oh,
of
I've
what that looks like.
Yeah, I have specifically found the people that like to work out a lot are the ones that if they don't consume carbohydrates, at least some, it tends to end up bad for them. And I
Yeah.
find the people that, my kind of rule with all of them has always been, if you don't like to work out, great, just eat less carbohydrates. If you love to work out, great, you got to eat more carbohydrates. And I found that simple rule, as long as I agree with you on as long as you start the day with proteins and fats, like that to me, I'm going to agree with you. I have found to be the most powerful tool in this realm of regards to helping with blood sugar and things like that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you know a ton about this stuff too, Brad. Like, what else have you found that really works with women?
Uh, I'm going to kind of agree with kind of everything you've said. Like I said, I think starting the day with protein and fats, which is really hard to get a lot of women to do, is super impactful. If I can have them eat that before they have their caffeine.
Their coffee.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's huge. I find the
Yes.
ones that want to have the coffee first, then have the breakfast, not as good. And I found getting them to just get out and walk outside has been really powerful.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, but it's
And work and maybe doing like really like less intense workouts. For me.
I was going to ask you what your recommendations are for women in this state, how they should be exercising. Like, what have you found that works well for them?
I love strength training. I'll talk about it forever, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing ever. I don't, for women who are really stressed, sometimes like 30, 40 minutes is great. I don't think it needs to be an hour. I don't know where an hour came from. I don't know if that's just because as like personal trainers, we just do it for an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's too long
Yeah.
to like really, for a lot of women. I think walking's great. I think like hiking's great. Anything that's like, I'm not a big fan of running. I don't
Either.
There are certain women who can really pull that off. It's not the majority.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel like as you age, doesn't it? It's like you look drawn and gaunt, and it's not a good look.
It's not a good
as we
look.
get older, for sure. What
And
about
I
HIIT
think
training?
That's the cortisol. I'm not a huge fan of the
Right.
HIIT training
Right.
for a lot of women. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but
Hey.
when I have a patient who says like, "Oh, but I do Orange Theory 4 days a week," and I'm like, okay, I mean, I don't know. I think I just love how the Poliquin kind of style of training. I don't know. Do you still do that?
Oh yeah, I'm
Brad,
giving you
like
a
the
big high five
primal-
right now because
Yeah.
you are speaking my verbiage.
I mean, like primal movements.
Yep.
I feel like that's where it's at. Rest periods.
Which is
Yeah.
still very hard to get women to take rest periods. They still don't want to buy into just taking a rest between sets. That's
Right.
that's
I'll just
another
do a
dog
plank.
fight.
I'll
Yeah.
just do plank.
I gotta get my heart rate up. But eventually what I find with women is when they
Burpees.
start seeing the result, they start buying in more. Like now I love it. My clients that have done the best are like, this is great. I don't really even sweat during the workouts, but they're so effective. But like with you,
So
like it's
effective.
always 45 minutes or less, a couple of times a week. Like I'm not blowing people out. I mean, some of them still make me do it. Like at least once a week, I gotta have one blowout workout of like high intensity. I gotta be sweating and huffing and puffing.
Right.
I'm like, all right.
Right.
But you are speaking. Still to this day is what I see work the best, especially for women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like from those days, there's still so many like nuggets of wisdom. Like, I think one of the things he said was, whatever you have first thing in the morning sets your neurotransmitters for the whole day.
Yeah.
I mean, so, okay, if you have coffee, what's that doing?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's going to send it's not going to send your serotonin like in a good, nice, calm place. It just isn't going to do that. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you putting in your mouth first thing? I mean, that matters. And if you say lemon water and then coffee, it's still the wrong answer. It's
Hey, what's wrong with
you can
lemon
have
water? I like
no,
lemon water.
lemon water is great.
Okay.
You can have your lemon
Okay.
water, but then have like some meat, right?
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm just saying like you can't follow it up with
Oh,
caffeine.
right. Got it.
We need to have like some food in there. And I don't care if your coffee has collagen in it either. It's like it's got to be like some
Still
food.
coffee.
You got to
Yeah.
chew.
Yeah.
Because the other thing I had is like when you're not chewing your food, so like all the smoothies and stuff like that, you kind of surprise your stomach, right? I mean, you're not going through the whole process of like smelling your food and chewing slowly and producing enzymes, and just kind of like hits your stomach. So I'm not a big fan of like the cold smoothies first thing either, or really at all. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. I feel like a lot of the stuff that we learned a long time ago, like it just holds true.
Yeah. I mean, Charles was always so far ahead of him. I mean, now I'm sure you heard like all the rage of peptides. Remember 15, 20 years ago, he was teaching us about BPC 157,
Oh yeah.
telling us that
Totally.
was going to be in the future. And now it's everywhere all of a sudden. But
Oh,
he
it's
was
everywhere.
always so far ahead of the game in what he used to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And I love peptides. I mean, I think peptides are great. I think there's some great peptides that help women in this phase of life too. So
Ooh,
I'm all about them.
Will you share a couple of those real quick?
Sure. I think Kisspeptin is awesome. I really like it. Could be like a really even like I have some women who are in their low 40s who just early 40s who just use a little bit of the Kisspeptin, and I feel like it's really helped with like hormonal balancing.
Oh, interesting.
I love Sermorelin for just like helping in lean mass and sleep. And I feel like the women who like work out really hard and feel like they're not getting anywhere, I do feel like Sermorelin can be an edge on that. Those both are injectable. CJC Epimorelin, I think, is a good one too. If like Sermorelin isn't really doing the body composition stuff that you want it to. Those are sort of like my three go-tos.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't realize that was going to come up, but I'm glad to hear it because
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of them too,
Right.
as people know. And we just got Raquel
Yeah.
started on
Yeah,
them
I
this
just
week.
started.
So
What'd you start?
I started BPC 157 because
Yeah.
my shoulders are cranky at age 60. They're cranky. And because I still teach classes and
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
still think I'm, 40 in my head.
As you should.
Right. And I
Yes.
started Tessamorelin.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
I kind of, and that's what I was texting him about. I said, well, I reached out to ChatGPT before you to ask questions about why my resting heart rate was a little higher than it normally is, according to my Aura ring. And you, yeah. So anyway,
That's
I mean,
incredible.
literally just stared. So it's been,
Oh,
this is what,
that's
day
great.
4? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested because I think so many of them have been vilified because, of Ozempic and so forth, that people are not
Sure.
realizing how great so many of these can be and how helpful for so many different things.
So many different things.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
And again, I mean, I still use it as like you should be doing the foundational work first.
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. I like, if you're doing the foundational work, they work incredible. If you're not doing the foundational work, it's a waste of money, in my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah.
It so is. I just went and got certified in Vegas in December with A4M, and James Lavelle was teaching there.
Yeah.
Who you know.
Yeah.
He's great. And he actually was talking about a lot of different like supplements and stuff that can help make the peptides work even more. But it's all about, like you just said, it's like you have to have the foundation, and then everything else is just works so much better.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
100%. Well, hey, I know we got to wrap this up. You got a little one to get to bed back out there.
I have one more question.
Oh, okay.
If it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have 1 minute.
Tick, tick. Why, when a woman is pregnant, does it typically, because I'm thinking Shelby's pregnant right now, and this happened for me too with my 2 kids, every healthy eating habit goes out the window and all you want is carbs and not good ones. Why does that happen? I'm curious.
I feel like it's super common first trimester to want that.
Yes.
To want more carbs because the blood sugar is like, can be all over the place. I think for like the nausea from the HCG going
Sure.
like, I mean, I feel like that, can whatever, like play a part in that.
Yeah.
But I will say like, for me, I didn't have that. I
Really?
mean, I still wanted protein the entire
Really?
pregnancy.
Nothing weird.
So no.
Wow.
So I think I remember I had like a couple gluten-free buns with my burger, which was weird. But aside from that, it was pretty much like I ate the same that I always do.
Wow.
So I don't know that it's across the board. I think that's just what we hear more of normally.
Yes.
And sometimes I think it's nutrient depleted women in the beginning.
Interesting.
And I will say though, first try, I chalk that up like whatever. First try is crazy. So, but if by second trimester you're still not really wanting protein, then I'm going to dive a little bit deeper and see like what we're not. Maybe we need more zinc. Maybe we need, you know what I mean?
It's just
How
interesting.
are our adrenals? It's super interesting. Yeah. But first, I would say first try is
it's
a
all
wash.
bets are off. It's all bets are off.
Yeah.
You eat what
For
you want
sure.
to eat, what baby wants, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Two things to wrap this up. One, can you let our listeners know where they can find it? You have a great social media, by the way. Your Instagram is incredible.
Oh,
So we share with people where
Brad.
they can kind of find more information on you.
Yeah, so my Instagram is just Dr. Nicole NMD, which is just naturopathic medical doctor. So Dr. Nicole NMD. My website is Dr. Nicole Huffman. So pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And then second, you have a whole masterclass coming out on this specific topic. Can you
Yes,
give
I
our
do.
listeners
Thank
some
you.
information on that? Because I'm excited for that. I'm really excited for this to come out because it's going to be very
Yeah.
educational.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, so we have a masterclass coming out that I'm teaching for free next Thursday, the 29th.
Of May, right?
You can, yes,
Yeah.
the 29th of May. There'll be like links all over my Instagram and also on my website, so you can check it out. It should be good. I'm just going to teach like 3 holistic secrets that I feel like a lot of doctors aren't talking about for women who are going through perimenopause, but also just for I say that word and I kind of have a beef with that word a little bit because I feel like it's such this long transition. And like I said, it's not a destination. So for women who are having hormonal imbalances in their 30s too, I don't want them to be turned off by that word because I really feel like it'll help so many women who are just feeling off and need some almost like just some restructured foundational work and more not this outdated information.
Yeah.
So is it live only or will it be?
No, it'll be recorded too.
Oh, it will be. Okay, so you
Yeah.
can access it afterwards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
And is there
absolutely.
anything else that you have coming out with that? Do you have a
Yeah,
like a program coming out or anything?
We do. I'm going to launch a program. So the masterclass, I'll talk about it after I give all the information. I'm teaching a course called Radiant Mama Method, and it'll be a 7-week course of basically just like building back up hormones, building back up foundation, your resilience, everything. I'm just going to be teaching it live every week for 90 minutes for
Awesome.
those 7 weeks. And I'm going to create like a community so all the women can, as they're trying these new weird things and also not overwhelming. I'm like very big on like, I can't overwhelm the overwhelmed women.
Yeah.
That they'll be able to, it's a, do it at your own pace kind of thing. So
cool.
So for all your listeners, I can give them like a discount code too. If your podcast is the ultimate comeback, right?
Your
So we'll
ultimate
just make
comeback.
we'll make it super easy as ultimate. If you use that, you can get a discount.
Very cool.
Perfect. Thank you so
And
much.
are you do you take new clients virtually? You do?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
I'm booked out a little, but
it works really well. Like I have a client of mine that I train that Nicole referred to me that works with her virtually.
Okay.
And it's pretty awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Just because I was like, how does that work? Because I've only seen Nicole in person.
Sure.
And she's like, oh yeah, it's just as good as
Nice.
virtually as it was in person.
Love it.
So
thanks,
she's a
Brad.
wealth of knowledge, like incredible wealth of knowledge. I've gone to her for myself. I've gone to her needs for my son, my daughter. Like,
good.
yeah. So
Okay.
all realms, I think she's really good at.
Nice.
So thank you for taking the time to
Thanks,
join
Brad.
us.
Gosh, if you need a confidence boost, just hang out with Brad.
There's not very many doctors that had me crying in their room working on me.
I love it. That's good.
So good.
Yeah. I will never
love
forget
it.
that moment. But thank
that's
you
awesome.
so much for taking some time. I know you're
Yes.
super busy with the move and everything, but to join us, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. It was so great to meet you.
It was so great to meet you too. And I love talking with you guys. That hour flew by so
I know.
fast. So
Yeah, it
thanks
did.
for having me on.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's
All
fun.
right.
So fun.
Thank
Thank
you. Have a
you.
great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Enjoy.
All right. Thanks.